let's get to it. Arguably, is
There's no argument.
No, you're right. You're right. The worst division probably in football is what we're about to preview now. Now, this isn't new. I mean, we had Tom.
New news.
New news. We had.
Can we
Tom,
trademark new news?
We can. I think.
Does
I don't know.
anyone else use it?
I don't know if we get 15 subs. We'll trademark new news. But that's our new sub goal moving forward. All right, so we got the Falcons, the Panthers, the Bucks, and the Saints. Now, these teams, none of which I feel are going to be juggernauts in the grand scheme of things. Now, Baker has kind of elevated the Bucks a little bit. We have a new quarterback down in Atlanta that we think that they might actually use their weapons for once. Let's go ahead and look at the over-under totals real quick. By the way, Bryce Young quarterback, maybe not as good, overshadowed by CJ last year, so maybe he has some value. And then you got Derek Carr, lowly Derek Carr, hanging out, just chilling in New Orleans, where even the wide receivers aren't excited about what's going on in the plays and everything. We talked a little bit about that earlier on in the show, but Chris Olave saying, "Hey," someone asked him, a reporter, "Are you excited about what was it, Scotty? Are you excited about any of the plays that you're gonna be better this year?"
Any play that happened in training camp that like you look back on it and we're like, "Oh,
we're gonna be better."
Watching
this year.
that, we're gonna be good this year, and it's like, nah.
He just said no, and it's like
credit for being honest.
It's like, okay, well, there's that. Let's go through the win total projections for the NFC South. So Atlanta Falcons over/under set at 9.5. The over is overwhelmingly the favorite there, -142. Carolina Panthers over/under set at 5.5 wins with
I'll
Bryce
take the
Young.
under.
The under is plus money. Well, it's even money, basically. 102. Plus 102. The over is -124. So people think that the over is going to be the favorite there. 5.5 is generous AF, says keep close. Welcome in, keep close. New Orleans, over/under set at 7.5 wins. -130 is the over. So the favorite is at least 8 wins for the New Orleans Saints. And then Tampa Bay, 7.5 wins. -142 on the over. So no team in this division, is going to be projected, unless the Atlanta Falcons make it, which they should, a double-digit win team this year. First of all, I think we start out. Any thoughts on just the win totals? Anything that stands out?
I think at least half of them are Vegas is just high on half of them, as in high as in smoking. The Panthers 5.5. That's just them trying to be nice. Bucks at 7.5. Not too sure about that one either.
Who at 7.5? The Bucks, you said?
Yeah.
The Bucks and Saints.
You think that's too high or too low?
Too low.
Okay. Yeah,
They're smoking some.
Some of them seem obvious. You got 9.5 with Atlanta, which is probably what everyone. I think
everyone's hammering the over.
Now that they have a quarterback and they got rid of Arthur Smith. No disrespect to someone adding Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator, but as a head coach, he was not it.
Yeah.
He lost that team games last year for sure. So if Kirk Cousins stays healthy, I like the over 9.5. I think you can go 10-7 in Atlanta.
Well, let me ask you this, Scotty. You say 10-7. First 3 games: Steelers, Eagles, Chiefs. Then they go at home against the Saints. Then the Buccaneers, at the Panthers, and then the Seahawks.
So those next 4 are not
but the
that
first
formidable. Well, is one of those teams brutal, or is it?
Listen, I was just speaking as like a general whole consensus here, Scotty.
I mean, here's the
they're
thing.
not gonna be the Chiefs, obviously, but
If
it was
you're-
Steelers and who? I already forgot.
The Eagles.
Eagles.
I forgot.
If you're high on the Falcons doing well this year, especially in their bad division as well, I mean, the over-under at 10.5 on the alt line is plus 164 if you think they're going to get to 11 wins. I mean, it's a stretch, but if you're high on them and you think they could take their division pretty easily, which, is doable,
Their back half of their schedule is very doable, by the way.
You're getting plus 164 over 10.5 wins, 11 wins in the NFC South. We haven't seen that many wins in the NFC South in a long time. I don't think. When's the last time we had 11 wins? Would
have been nice if
Brady,
they
right?
used
Brady?
the first round pick on somebody that could help the team, but instead they took a quarterback after they just signed a quarterback in the offseason.
I guess let's start with Atlanta.
Yeah, let's start with Atlanta. Obviously, making the big splash in pulling Kirk Cousins in from Minnesota, who is coming off an injury, but still proven quarterback in the NFL. Veteran. We all loved him from quarterbacks in the he's just a great guy to root for. But they also went out in the draft and made a splash in getting Michael Penix Jr., who is about the same age as Kirk Cousins. So that being said, it's like, there's some interesting head scratching moves, as you alluded to, Scotty, and just a little bit ago, of they didn't really help him with their first round pick, but at the same time, they have a quarterback that will elevate, because let's face it, you weren't getting that from the quarterback room. Desmond Ridder wasn't it. He wasn't accurate. He wasn't going to get things done there. And now you're looking at one of the best upgrades at quarterback in the NFL among pretty much, I mean, unless you want to count, some of the injured quarterbacks coming back from, their injuries. I think this might be like Aaron Rodgers coming back for the Jets might be an upgrade because they didn't have him last year. But this is probably one of the biggest quarterback upgrades. And you still have the wealth of talent of the first round picks that they didn't utilize before. So it's tailor-made. It's got to be.
Even I see what you did there. Even if you're not high on Kirk Cousins, even if you're like, he's very, very mid, that would be a massive upgrade. Yeah, I mean, I think you could argue, and it's probably what I would argue, is they had the worst quarterback play in the league last year. Between Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke, it was an absolute unmitigated disaster at the quarterback position, especially with the weapons. You have Bijan Robinson, you have Kyle Pitts, you have Drake London.
8 first rounders on their offense.
3 of those guys were top 10 picks. Not even first rounders. They were top 10 overall picks as weapons. And then you had Arthur Smith not knowing fully. He just loved himself some Tyler Algier, which is fine. But also, you're just going to pick Jonnu Smith. Yeah, loved him some Jonnu Smith instead of Kyle Pitts. But now Jonnu Smith's gone, so maybe that'll open up with Raheem Morris coming as the coach. More of a defensive guy, of course. But I actually don't even know who their OC is.
Zach Robinson.
Oh, that's right. Zach Robinson.
Who's bringing
Rams disciple, quarterback from Oklahoma State.
He's bringing McVay,
he's
Shanahan, kind of offensive vibes, Yep. So, yeah. With that's another layer that their offense might be more dynamic this year.
Yeah, so it has to be more dynamic. I think it would be impossible to not be more dynamic, and you have a better throw of the football, and your backup's pretty good in Penix. So congratulations on getting a very serviceable backup quarterback with the number 8 overall pick in the draft. They have a pretty good offensive line. You got Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry at the tackles. Solid, not spectacular, but not a huge issue. The interior with Chris Lindstrom's nice. So they have they're fine at the offensive line. Defensively, they didn't do a ton this offseason to address that. Their defense played probably above what I would even have expected them to play last year. There's not a ton of marquee names on this defense. I'm even trying to think I'm drawing a blank right now. Like they have an elite corner guy at a Clemson that I can't think of his name right now. I always go to that. I'm always like,
AJ
this guy-
Terrell.
Yeah, AJ Terrell's a very nice piece. But the defensive front's not great. Grady Jarrett's was pretty good for a while, but not playing up to the standard that he used to on the defensive line. And they didn't really address it in the draft that much. So
They could have.
Well,
they certainly could.
They took a D tackle, an edge, and then a D tackle. So
Yeah, but I guess I meant more of a top
Right,
end
right,
talent
right.
in the first round. So, yeah, I mean, AJ Terrell in the secondary is kind of the guy. They also have Jesse Bates.
Jesse Bates
coming over from the Bengals, second year now with Atlanta, who's a nice safety. But there's just not a lot of star power on this defense. So I feel like they played above their head last year. I don't know if they can continue to do that, or maybe they were just in such low scoring games because the offense wasn't doing anything that the other team's offense wasn't trying to score actively. They were just waiting for, Desmond Ridder to throw him an interception,
which he did quite often.
He liked to.
Breast milk in the chat. Yeah. Don't think Cousins is terrible, but did you consider that Cousins has won one playoff game in the last 6 years and had recent injury? Cousins can be stable if healthy, at least. He raises the floor much more than the ceiling, though.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
he raises it. I think he's he's somewhere close to, what is he, around 10 to 12 in the league at quarterback play? Maybe?
Yeah, I mean that's
somewhere in that range.
I mean, that's still better than what they had. So I mean,
yeah,
you can't knock it. I mean, they were 22nd in passing. So
I'm not overly worried about the injury because it's not like it's taking away a facet of his game that he had before. Never been a runner, so I'm not overly worried about that outside of re-injury, but hopefully that's not the case. So we'll see.
Which Achilles did he tear, left or right? That's all I'm concerned about. That's what I'm concerned about. I can't. I don't know which one it is, honestly.
I don't know. Either.
I want to say left, but I don't know for sure.
So I mean, elevating some of those players, Bijan, I think, is going to have a pretty solid uptick. Drake London, I mean, Kyle Pitts is probably going to be a big time name that we've all found disappointing. All these guys have been disappointing. Doc, who's going to be the biggest beneficiary of this Kirk Cousins upgrade? Who's gonna shine out and be the best player on this offense?
Okay, now that you said best player, I was just going to say the offense as a whole. I mean, coming from a team last year that, like I said, was 22nd in passing, 26th in points for that offense. I mean, you have to go and you literally pull up their depth chart, and I can't help but think the guy that I think will have the biggest impact is Kyle Pitts. The poor guy has been there for a few years now and just never got the love. And I feel like now with the quarterback play that he has, I mean, obviously we know Bijan's going to get the ball. Drake London, you got Mooney, and then you got Ray McLeod, who's mostly probably going to be for returns. But Kyle Pitts, to me, is going to be the biggest guy that benefits from this. And I wouldn't be surprised if he has a monster season.
And they've been working in, from reports from camp, they've been working in some wide receiver routes for him too. So,
yeah, he was pretty good when we did that here in Pittsburgh. He was actually surprisingly really good. We just never really went with him. And Rec, you could agree with me on that.
Yeah. I'd say that, like, for Pitts, he's like, I know he's listed as a tight end, but he's essentially just a big wide receiver. That's essentially what he is. Like, he's never been much of a blocker. Which, yeah, like, if you can get him out in the receiving game, yeah, have fun covering him.
Yeah. So Atlanta Falcons going to be an interesting team. I mean, they seem to be the team to beat in this division. Let's go ahead and take a look next at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as I mentioned, their over-under total is set. What did I say? They are set at
7.5.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
Yeah. So
I don't think it's insane.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got our boy Baker Mayfield, who has kind of been serviceable. I mean, he hasn't been like world beating by any means, but he still is competitive enough to keep you in games.
Well, I mean, 4,000 plus yards and 28-10 TD to interception ratio last year. He was great last year for him.
Yeah. And so, he's coming back, obviously. Rashad White, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. I talked about Chris Godwin as a kind of a sleeper candidate, as they're putting him potentially back in the slot based off of some reports, where he thrived in his previous years, where he was kind of focused in on that area. So I think there's some different things that they can utilize offensively there that open things up. Cade Otton comes back offensively, and Tampa Bay team who honestly, they're going to be kind of a lurking team in this division. I don't know if they have the firepower to necessarily stick up with the Atlanta Falcons based off of what we've heard and what we expect, but they could be a sneaky team here.
Yeah, I mean, and they got a playoff win. Not only did they win the division, they played against a team that had fallen apart, the Philadelphia Eagles, down the stretch. But that's still a playoff win. And they were competitive in their second playoff game. Could have won that one too. So I don't know how they got there, kind of. I mean, listen, Baker Mayfield, Chris, I kind of mentioned this to you before we went on stream. Like, every time I'm like, oh, he's got it figured out. Like, it looked like he had it figured out in Cleveland, and then he just fell off a cliff the next year. And then he was
Rams,
and also ran, moving on from there to not working out in multiple other areas. So gets to Tampa, wins the job in a competition, and plays great last year. Does that mean he's going to play great this year? I don't know. You still have a lot of the same pieces. They re-signed Mike Evans, which was kind of a surprise. I think a lot of people thought maybe he'd be on the move in free agency. Re-sign him, but he is getting up there. He's 31, 32, I think, something like that. But a guy that's got 1,000 yards every year of his career, basically. So consistent. You still have Chris Godwin, but both those guys are aging, and they haven't added a ton to supplement that with some youth. The offensive line, obviously, it starts with Christian. What am I doing? What's his name? Wirf? Was it Wirf?
Yeah, Tristan Wirf.
Tristan Wirf. That's why I was confused. I'm like,
Wirfs.
Christian? Yeah. Christian's wrong. Tristan Wirf, one of the best tackles in the game. They did take an offensive lineman in the first round in Graham Barton that can play in the interior, whether that's center or guard for him. We'll see. Likely center. Defensively, they re-signed Antoine Winfield. Paid him a lot of money to be a safety, but like the defensive line outside of like Vita Vea as like a run stopper doesn't have there's not a lot of pass rush. Chris, your former Bronco boy recently retired, and Shaq Barrett.
Yep.
They lost Devin White. I know he was aging as well, but that still was a leader on that defense. The secondary and the corner spot was kind of a dumpster fire last year outside of Dean, and that's who they have left. Like, there's not a lot there. So I have concerns about this team. I think they overachieved a little bit last year, just playing in a bad division. What'd they go? Did they go 9-8? I don't even know.
Other than 10-7.
9-8.
9-8. So 9-8 can very quickly become
8-9,
7-10, even like 2 games. But like, I think the division with Atlanta at least is going to be improved. And Tampa's aging in the wrong direction and didn't really do a ton to address or make the team better, in my opinion. So
look at old man Levante David chilling on this roster too.
A lot of old men. They did bring in Randy Gregory. Is that no? That doesn't matter.
David is 34, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's just like a weird roster that
it's
seems
still
to be aging.
It's still kind of aged from like the Tom Brady days. Remember when Tom Brady, they just had a bunch of veterans on this team and they just they're slowly
Those same veterans are there.
Yeah, they're still here. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we need to surround Tom Brady with aging veterans because that's what's going to make him successful. Well, they haven't moved on from that, and they haven't evolved. They're still thinking Tom Brady is their quarterback. They love 40-year-olds on this team, which is fine if that's cool. If you're into that, if you're Zach Wilson's into 40-year-olds too. It's
Might
fine.
be a little young, but yeah.
It might be a little young.
Ew.
Heyo. So anyways, yeah, I will drink to that. So there you go. Guys, any other thoughts on Tampa Bay? By the way, the contract for real quick, $33 million. Right? Is it $33 million for Mayfield?
Yeah.
So,
a year for 3 years.
You bought into him.
Dollars total.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
but there's guys making close to double that. So
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
Just the Buccaneers, like, they're not gonna blow people away. Like, they're gonna be the thorn in your side. They're gonna be they're just gonna be a constant problem.
That's a good way to put it, though. They're
like,
going to
you
be
see the team,
lingering
it's like-
around.
Yeah, you see this team, like, you think they're gonna be fine. Playing the game, you're doing decent, but like they just won't go away. Second half hits adjustments time, and they still just won't go away. And you just make one mistake, and they're gonna take it and win the game.
They're that annoying young brother or sister, that annoying young sibling that just keeps like pestering you all the time. That they're just like right behind you all the way through.
Trust me, I root for one of these teams. I'm very well aware of this.
Doc, anything last that you want to say about the Bucs?
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's fascinating that if they can stay healthy, I think the offense is going to surprise a lot of people. If Baker doesn't drop off like Scotty had mentioned, I mean, Rashad White was very pretty good last year. I'm just gotta say that. And then if Mike Evans and Chris Godwin stay healthy, Chris Godwin, they said, looks better than ever at camp. How many times have we heard that at a wide receiver or a quarterback or a halfback? But, I think that, Cade Otton is very serviceable at his position at tight end. My issue would be with the back end and the defense, but this is a team that, I think they're going to surprise people, but I don't think it's going to be anything like astronomical. Their schedule doesn't really stand out to me too much. I mean, the back end is literally the Giants, Panthers, Raiders, Chargers, Cowboys, Panthers, Saints. They have an opportunity to be an 8 or 9 win team and win this division. So, unless Atlanta Atlanta would have to be at 10 wins, but Tampa is going to be another team that I see that could probably be 8-9 or 9-8. So, I'm not going to be too surprised about anything with this team, but I do know they're going to be right around 500.
There you go. All right, let's shift gears. Let's go to, Let's go to Carolina. Let's go to Carolina. By the way, we had Black Market. I appreciate y'all doing every team, but man, this division doesn't give me much to get excited about.
Maybe this is a team we can talk about for about a minute.
This is why we started with this year. We started with these divisions. It's okay. Thank you for sticking through with it. A couple more teams, and then we have before you guys leave. I know it's getting later. Before you guys leave, we have a Scotty A. Smith coming in hot that you're not gonna want to miss, guys.
What action was that?
We haven't done one of these in a while. Scotty hasn't done one of these in a while. I don't know.
I don't even know if I remember how to do it.
So
I don't know if I'll get that fired up anymore.
Let's just say,
older, guys.
I mean, I know STG sticks around for these things. His ears perk up every time, even when he's not here. So Scotty A. Smith is going to be coming in hot after we'd covered these last two teams. So you do not want to miss that. Stick around. Let's talk about the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers obviously underachieved and are going to probably underachieve this year as well. As much as we loved Bryce Young coming into last year, it was overshadowed by CJ Stroud. Like he was the kid from Harry Potter that was stuck. It was Harry Potter stuck under the floor, under the stairs that just locked in there, and everyone forgot about him because CJ Stroud was taking over and living the dream and showing people what he could do. And so I feel like there's some chance that we might be overlooking some of what Bryce Young can do. He's just on a bad team. But it's not going to get any better this year. I mean, we could set the over under at probably 4 and still have a trouble going over, right? Like this is kind of where we're at. Sorry, I don't know who was locked in the floor in Harry Potter. Chairman says who was?
Have you seen Harry Potter, Chris?
Yeah, I think I've seen Harry Potter.
I think
It's been a minute.
I have
Feels
not.
like you either have or you haven't.
It's not one of my favorite like movie series by any means, but it's like
Yeah, the movies didn't do it for me. I actually read all the books. Chris. That's kind of
I
shocking.
have all the original books. By the way.
did they locked Harry Potter underneath the stairs, right?
I don't even remember anymore.
Good job.
See, Scotty doesn't even remember. See,
I don't even remember.
Anyways,
how dare you, Chris?
Oh, like in his house. Oh yeah, like his like foster parents. or
Yeah, his
whatever?
foster parents locked him.
Oh yeah, the little.
See,
little
I wasn't
staircase, yeah.
off base. People think
I
like
was
I'm
thinking
totally...
at like Hogwarts. I was in like Hogwarts. Mode.
No.
Who did they lock in the stairs at
no.
Hogwarts?
He's not Anne Frank.
That's embarrassing.
He's not Anne Frank, Chris.
speaking of embarrassing,
anyways,
the Carolina Panthers.
The Carolina Panthers, I
Yeah.
won't talk much. They did add an elite wide receiver in Deontay Johnson. Shout out Steeler fans. Good news is they were a bad team last year, and then they traded their best player in the offseason on defensive side of the ball. So that's cool. Brian Burns is gone, so they should be even worse there. I don't know, like they didn't even have a ton of draft capital because they traded for Bryce Young last year, moved up from 9 to 1 to get him, so they didn't have their number 1 overall pick. They had Xavier Leggett.
He
was quite legit for them.
I think he's injured. I think you hurt his leg yet.
Oh, no.
Which, by the way, he's one of my favorite
not
players in
even
the
practicing.
NFL. But you know,
I think he's hurt right now though. So,
Yeah.
gosh, his sound clips are amazing.
It's not like they're going to get a big uptick from the draft capital that they didn't have. They're going to be bad, Chris. They're going to be bad again.
I mean, when we saw Bryce Young go into camp, it looked like a elementary school kid going to his first day of school with a backpack. Did you see that? It was kind of.
Yeah.
It was like, oof, I don't know about this.
It's like Bryce Young and Rec walking next to each other.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, first day of. Rec just developed a beard early on. but
Basically.
otherwise-
Yeah. So there's a chance. There's a chance they could get to 4 wins. Maybe
So you're telling me there's a chance?
there might be a chance. But I don't know. What's
Get excited, Panther fans. There's a chance you could get to 4 wins.
I think
thought you were
Hufflepuff
gonna
has
say
the
3.
over. Black Market says Hufflepuff over under for Quidditch this year. It might be over wins.
No, it's
You always
Definitely
take the
under.
under on Hufflepuff.
Under.
Come on.
You gotta take the under.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah,
Hufflepuff.
no.
Is
isn't it?
Hufflepuff like they're pretty much trash, right?
Yeah.
Where does Ravenclaw
Yeah,
stay? Or is Ravenclaw like the?
They're one of the favorites.
Are they the Falcons? Are they?
Still,
Are they the
they're still
Falcons?
three-
Of,
No, not what?
Yeah, they would be. Yes, absolutely. Have you seen their roster? They were
you
absolutely
seen that?
stacked.
Should we do a
Well,
division preview
They didn't
on
have
on
Harry Potter, and they're not
Potter?
Slytherins who cheat to
They
win.
just didn't have
so-
Harry Potter. I'm just saying.
So
It's
they
like
so they
needed
missed out on the
Harry
draft
or the
pick.
cheaters and Slytherin.
So they missed out on
cheaters and Slytherin over them too.
the drafting hat. Totally screwed that one up
Yeah.
for them, huh?
Look at this analysis as we
Oof.
just equate it to the houses of Hogwarts.
I mean, this is basically the same, right?
This is where we
yeah.
are.
We could do a whole segment on just sorting hats for each division. Where do they get sorted?
Maybe we do themes for the rest. Maybe like we do like a specific theme for every division. Maybe that's how we make this like even more exciting. Because we have to for this division. So anyways,
Yeah.
anything else you guys want to add to Carolina that we don't really
Yeah,
have?
I mean,
Panthers-
it's very easy. They were last in a lot of offensive categories and defensive categories. It stays the same. They win 3 games if they're lucky.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like the Panthers, they have holes all over the team, but they still somehow fail to adjust the big one, the offensive line. It's like, yeah, sure, you got Deontay Johnson, woohoo, but
As
Bryce Young
Carmageddon
is-
kind of points out, this would be the worst class at Hogwarts ever if this was your
Yeah.
incoming class.
Yeah, it's not
and you're
magical.
hoping any of these teams become wizards. And you're like, probably
Hmm.
not. Probably not going to be a wizard.
Seventh round wizard. Nah, cut him.
You're not a wizard, Harry.
Yeah. Get out of
You're a
here.
Harry wizard.
But yeah,
On that note, I'm going to do another Code Yellow. real
Code
quick, Chris,
Yellow
'cause I
in
wanna
the
talk
chat.
Coming in hot for about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Coming in hot.
yeah, Bryce-
Coming in hot is coming very
Needs
quickly
to
down the
make sure he's
pipeline.
ready.
Spam Code
Bryce
Yellow
Young's gonna die
in
in
the
the
chat.
pocket. He's just gonna die in the pocket again. He's not gonna get a chance to develop. Dave Canales, maybe he could do something. I don't know, but with this trash fire, not much you can do with that.
Real quick, before we cover our last team and we get to the coming in hot for the night, there's a lot of you guys in the chat hanging out. There's a lot of you guys watching at home that aren't chatting. So make sure you hit that follow button. We're covering the NFL every single week of the NFL season. Scotty and I will break down the best matchups. We'll preview them. We'll talk about the best bets. We'll talk about everything top to bottom from a fantasy football standpoint and who to start, who to sit. Corn
right.
Let's go.
Let's go.
My man.
All right.
Let's go. Appreciate you, Corn Doggy. Thank you for being here. Thank you for that Prime sub. You get that 3. By the way, you get 3 months of Amazon or Apple TV.
I wish Amazon.
But it's covered by Mr. Jeff Bezos. He's covering the bill for those 3 months. And guys, you guys don't want to be anywhere else for the NFL season. We'll do NFL Sunday night football watch parties. We'll do bingo. We'll gift out subs. We're having everything going. But off topic, how much do you do NBA? Black market?
They love it.
I
This
do.
is their go-to besides the NFL.
NFL and NBA are our top 2 things that we cover mainly on this channel. I'm the biggest. Scotty's like guru NFL. I'm guru NBA. And we kind of,
Is he guru?
I mean, he thinks he is. What? No, yeah, we talk a lot of NBA black market. Once that's coming down the pipeline, we're mixing in a ton of hoops.
Be ready. It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go ahead and let's get into the final team because we got to get to the coming in hot. Let's get to the New Orleans Saints. When it comes to this last team, this is a team that has much to be desired. But it's just like going into an NFL season with Derek Carr as your quarterback. You're just like, man, like,
Yay.
And anytime you can have a gothic quarterback, Chris, you got to do it.
anytime you have a quarterback with eyeliner, yeah,
You're screwed.
Yeah.
it's not great.
Him
But-
and JD Vance have a lot in common.
Did
They
you go
like to-
raw?
So they are a team that I feel like is gonna probably underachieve this year. We talked a lot about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers being a team that is like thorn in your side, kind of, right behind you at all points, like a little sibling. I think that the Saints are kind of like that stepbrother that no one really thinks about anymore, that just kind of sits on the side and is just like, oh wait, yeah, they do exist. And no one's really going to get hyped about them. And that's kind of how I feel going into this NFL season. How do you guys feel, Scotty?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get too excited about this team. Like, they made the move for Derek Carr. It hasn't panned out thus far. Their own wide receiver, probably their best player on offense, isn't overly excited about the team in any regard. They didn't make a ton of additions, certainly in free agency. They did add a offensive tackle. Like, if you want Derek Carr to be successful, the most important thing you need is a pocket in front of him. He can make throws if he has time and can read, but the moment he doesn't feel comfortable in that pocket is the moment he turns into a dumpster fire. So they took Fuaga, tackle in the first round, shore up some of that. Their other elite tackle was actually hurt a lot of last year.
Ramczyk.
Ryan Ramczyk. So him being back, you're a little better at tackle. So there's things to be excited about in that sense. Like if he has time Chris Olave is certainly a really good wide receiver. It's not they didn't lose a ton. They didn't lose anybody notable either, but it's just like there's Alvin Kamara is still there. I
Yeah.
feel like Alvin Kamara's somehow been in the league. He's still been solid. I'm not hating on it, but like the big name they added though on defense is like Chase Young. And Chase Young, everyone was excited like when he got traded from Washington, and then he did nothing. Nothing. I think he's just too beat up and too injured. Unfortunately, the talent that was Chase Young, where he was a top pick in the draft, is just no longer there. They are talking, Chris. They're meeting with your boy this week. Your boy
Jeffrey Simmons.
Not Jeffrey, but you know,
Jeffrey.
it is Simmons, but it's not Jeffrey.
Yeah,
It's not Jeffrey.
Justin
Justin.
Simmons.
Justin
Simmons.
Justin Simmons, the safety
Jeffrey.
for
We were talking
Denver,
about
who
Jeffrey earlier.
Justin
is,
Simmons been on
somehow
he's been out there for a
still
while.
a free agent. They still have the Honey Badger somehow. Is he good still? I don't know. They did lose famous Jameis, so that could be a monumental loss. Actually, I said they didn't lose a ton, but that dude eats W's for a living. So, you know,
Question for you, Scotty.
yes,
It's true.
Is Kamara going to be available? Because I thought he had off the field issues still.
I mean,
Were
he
those
got
not
suspended
addressed?
last year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, were those not addressed last year?
I have no idea. I just know that I read
Yeah,
somewhere that
he
there was
missed-
still issues with it.
He
Unless
got
there's
suspended for 3 games, I
more.
believe.
Unless there's more, he was suspended for sure at the onset of last year. So
Well, that's
unless
why
there's
I'm asking.
more that's come out,
Well,
which
that's what I was.
I don't think another incident happened to my knowledge. So unless it's just more came out from that one incident, I would say no, he's going to be there and not be suspended to my knowledge. So
I'm looking at
this team just doesn't inspire you to like get excited about.
I'm looking at their
at all.
wide receiver core, and outside of Chris Olave, I see Rashid Shaheed and A.T. Perry, and I'm just like,
Not good.
who? Like I sound like a damn owl right now. Like I don't know who these people are. And then when your best wide receiver, Chris Olave, they ask him, "Hey, are there any plays that get you excited?" And he's like, "No." I'm like,
Bruh.
come on, man.
Look,
Someone should probably coach him.
yeah,
A little
here's
bit.
a nice
He's a marketing PR person to get in his ear real quick and just be like, "Yeah, it looks great."
Here's a nice little tip.
Lie to us. Lie to us.
Yeah. If you want to get excited about a team, you completely avoid Dennis Allen at all costs. One of the most vanilla coaches in the league. Honestly, maybe the worst in the league. He's definitely down there. Like this is just an old team. Just like yeah, there's some talent, but like what's there to be excited for outside of Olave? This is not a team that inspires confidence in the slightest.
Lattimore in the secondary.
Yeah.
They still have that defensive end. That's good, right?
Cameron Jordan.
Cam Jordan.
Cam Jordan.
Yeah, Cam Jordan. He's like mid-30s, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean,
It's
still
so-
prolific, but not. It's not great. It's not great.
It's just this team is so old, and again, they're ran by Dennis Allen. Who ever in the history of the game has been excited about having Dennis Allen?
Not many.
Well, here's the question and a concern that I have for them. Yeah, they're that this weird area where they're like, 7.5, maybe 8, 7 or 8 wins, but people don't realize that Alvin Kamara might get traded because,
He has no trade value.
well, here's the thing. I'm saying it from the Saints side. They owe him $18.5 million.
Yeah.
But if they cut him before they restructure the contract, they save $19 million. So I wouldn't be surprised if something happens where they move him to get something for him, because they said that, and I've read quite a few Saints articles where a lot of people are saying that he's not going to be on that team past this year because of his salary. So
Makes sense.
this could be a very interesting situation to see what goes on with Kamara, if not for the overall of the Saints wins or losses, but to see where he might end up.
I'm not gonna lie, this team just needs to blow it up.
They never want to do that, though. They never want to do that.
I know, but it's killing them in the long run. Like hooray, you can win 7-8 games a year.
To be fair,
Who
there's
the
like
hell
half the
cares?
teams you could say that about, and they're afraid to do it too. Because the problem is, it's easy for us to say that, right?
Yeah.
But if you're the GM of the team, it's terrifying. Because if you blow it up, you might not be around for the rebuild.
Yeah. It's like, oh boy. It's like, oh boy.
So there's that facet that no one talks about, is like, yeah, I'd blow the shit out of this, but if I'm the GM, I'd be like, well, but if I blow it up, they might just kick me to the curb and hire somebody else, and then I'm out of a job. So let me just see if I can piece something together in this shitty division, you know?
Well, let me ask you this, Scotty. Would you take Derek Carr if he's available as your quarterback? Would you take him, or would you take Kirk Cousins?
Kirk
Cousins for sure. Yeah.
I only say that because you take a look at his numbers in New Orleans last year. They were actually the same as they were when he had Devontae Adams in Oakland, and he actually had a better touchdown to interception ratio than when he was in Oakland. So I just feel like a lot of times Derek Carr gets shit on, but like he's not flashy. He's like Chris says, he's a boring guy, but he might be mid, but his stats don't lie.
His stats weren't actually that far off from Baker's, who we said had a great season, right? So that's fair in that regard. I've just seen too many times where Derek Carr can have great games if he has a pocket.
Right.
But the moment he starts seeing ghosts, though, even if the first couple drives, if he's getting pressure in his face, like he's seeing ghosts and he panics and he doesn't do well. So I don't want a quarterback. I think Kirk Cousins is a lot more of a gamer, and like he'll put his body on the line. Clearly, we've seen that. Where
Composure,
Derek Carr just panics,
and that's why I figured I would ask,
because Derek Carr can make the throws. He can make the throws. There's no question about that. Now, obviously, he offers nothing as a running quarterback, but neither does Kirk Cousins. Neither does Baker Mayfield.
That was going to be my next question. Do you take him versus Baker?
I would still take Baker.
I might lean Baker too. I might lean Baker.
I mean, I just asked because I just feel like there's a lot of times where he does see ghosts, but his time in Oakland and his time in New Orleans, I mean, the lines haven't been at that that fantastic. Plus, look at the coaches that he had at his time in Oakland, and I feel like that really messed him up for a while. So like I feel like a lot of people give him shit because of that, but also like people don't realize the coaching he had, the lines that he had in front of him. Like he had Devontae Adams, he had Josh Jacobs, but like I just feel like there's times where I think Derek Carr doesn't get enough credit, but that's why I was asking what you guys thought about it, because I felt like he could be kind of close to those guys.
I'm gonna take Baker slightly, although it's very close to the Spider-Man meme where they can just point at each other.
Right.
But let's keep in mind, Derek Carr has made the playoffs, I believe. Well, he's never played in a playoff game.
Yeah, he made the playoffs once, but
he made the playoffs, but he hurt himself late in the season on a meaningless play late in the game when they were winning by a lot. That was the best season of his career and the best team they've ever had. So I feel a little bit bad for him in that scenario of what happened. But Baker's won at least a couple playoff games, led two different franchises to the playoffs. Derek Carr literally has made the playoffs once in his career. And you can blame everyone else around you, but at the same time, what's the most important position on an NFL roster? It's the quarterback.
Right.
And the adaptability.
Quarterbacks, if nothing else, if you're really good, you can at least make up for roster failures and at least make a playoff berth once every 4 years, right? Like, but he hasn't been able to do that.
Right. I'm not saying he's a top 10 guy. I'm just saying like he's more serviceable than people give him credit for.
I think like
people like to hate on him.
The adaptability is kind of interesting with Baker, though.
He whines a lot too.
Like when Baker can go to a new team and adapt quickly and be successful real quick. Like he's proven that a couple times. When he's gone to the Rams, he's gotten them, some wins and being clutch, and he's been fine. I mean, it's Sean McVay's offense, obviously, because that helped him, but still, I mean,
he wasn't great in Carolina, but who is?
Yeah.
Who are the? This is a good question by Black Market. Who are the most refused to blow it up teams? Saints, Vikings, who else? Broncos were for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you did finally nuke it.
We did nuke it.
Kind of.
We
That was like a forced nuke, though.
it was that's true though. That's true though. Like we didn't ask for the nuke. It was made by poor decisions, and
Sean Payton's not wanting a nuke.
No.
Yeah.
And so, but
Saints,
historically, the Broncos have been one of those non-blow it up teams. And
Steelers.
I think the Saints would be right at the top of that list.
I would say us too. The Steelers definitely. I feel like
the thing about the Steelers is it's only been a few years now. Like you weren't gonna nuke it when Ben was still there.
Yeah.
So you had to wait for him to retire, and then you played it out a couple years, and you won more games than you lost. But that's a tough spot to be in. Being mid is not a good place.
Well, I'm just saying it in general. Like, obviously, I wasn't saying like Ben himself and stuff like that. I just felt like there was a lot of players on our roster that were very mid that they held on to for like sentimental purposes. There was a lot of guys that they should have got rid of, and they just didn't. And then it came back to bite us in the ass.
Like Ben.
Corn Doggy says Chargers.
At the end, Ben probably was one. Yeah. But that was at the very end.
Chargers
but
don't.
Then, I'm always team nuke. If you're, you should just nuke it. But look at the teams that are winning the Super Bowls. They didn't nuke it.
Right.
What teams nuked it? Patriots never nuked it, obviously. Obviously, the Chiefs never nuked it.
But they're nuking it now.
Well, yeah, but they're not in Super Bowl contention now. Like, when has a team nuked it and then several years later won a Super Bowl? Won a Super Bowl.
Well,
I don't know, but I feel like the Texans are going to.
Houston is a team that went from. We still need to see a little more, but
I don't think the Eagles
but we see that.
I mean, they didn't win it, but they did make the Super Bowl against KC like 2 years after nuking it.
I don't think they nuked it though. They never nuked it.
I mean, yeah, they got rid of Pearson, traded away Wentz, got rid of Zach Ertz, got rid of this guy, got rid of that guy. It's like, like, man, this team's gonna be really bad. Why are they in the wild card round?
They got rid of Wentz. Is what that's not nuking.
Like I said, Wentz and Pearson in the same year.
Although Wentz is now really good, so
yeah.
We got a lot.
Yeah, that ended up being the right decision.
A lot of,
but now he's a really good quarterback because he's the backup in KC.
He's totally redeems himself.
Now you have a real Super Bowl.
What did that do? It brought you back to me.
Everyone's in the chat. I mean, Steelers nuked it. We got Eagles are probably the closest thing. They had to get rid of all the slop that Chip Kelly left. Seahawks, Hasselbeck
the Steelers
out.
did not nuke it.
And
he's talking about the 70s.
But when I'm thinking nuke, I'm thinking a team that nukes it so hard that they legit have like 4 straight years where they have top 10 picks. Like you're building from the ground up, and it takes a while. The Lions essentially were on accident a nuke for forever, so that would be a good. If the Lions went and won a Super Bowl, sure. I don't even know if they nuked it; they were just bad for a long time.
Yeah, you can't nuke what's not there.
Black market NBA makes more sense to nuke than NFL, in my opinion.
NBA makes total sense to nuke.
Yeah, I think. I mean, and it also kind of depends on.
Well, there's players and less positions.
Yeah,
Chairman's yelling at me. The Steelers nuked it, but then drafted Bradshaw and won 4 Super Bowls. So now we're going back to the 70s. Got it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just take a look at this, and obviously you look across sports, but how many teams had to nuke it to get out of their own way? They were just spinning literally in the middle of the road, and then they were like, you know what, let's nuke it. And for example, Rec, and I think you enjoy this analogy, but the Pittsburgh Penguins, another Pittsburgh team, is a perfect example. Crosby, Malkin, and Letang. You refuse to pay, or you refuse to get rid of, I'm obviously not Crosby, but Letang and Malkin, their contracts ate so much that they didn't get rid of them, and now we've been sitting mid. So, with the NFL, I just feel like there's too many times where they give these guys contracts and then they get eaten up and they're show their former selves, and then you're stuck with them. So you can't nuke it right away when you want to.
Oh yeah, we're in the same boat here in Nashville. Like we have good goaltending that gets us that could get us to the playoffs, but then it's like we can't develop talent anywhere else, so we're just kind of stuck in mediocrity. But we don't want to nuke it.
I mean, the ultimate nuke example is in Major League Baseball, right? It's the Houston Astros. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's
The
the ultimate nuke example of when it works. So it can work. It's weird that because I feel like it can and should work in the NFL, but it hasn't in recent history. So while I'm Team Nuke, it also hasn't paid off with the Super Bowl win. Now, it hasn't been spread around a lot with Super Bowl wins because you had the Patriots winning left and right, and then now different franchises winning a few times.
We won't talk about that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the 49ers, the 49ers did make 2 Super Bowls after nuking everything, but they didn't win it.
All right.
They made 2.
You want to no? Speaking of, real quick before, because we got to get to coming in hot. But did you ever guys hear? Speaking of, we're talking about nukes. Did you see the guy that there's a story, a random story? He made it out of the nuke and had a successful. There's a dude in Japan that got hit by both atomic bombs. Random story, and survived, and he's like 93 years old now, which is wild. He got. Just random story.
I love that you jump from nuke to actual
nuke. I mean, we're talking nukes. We might as well talk about a guy that survived 2 nuclear bombs and is 93 years old.
That man.
If he can do it, then these teams can do it. So there you go. All right. So there you have it. So those are our first 2 division previews that we hit. Both South divisions, AFC and NFC South. So
it will get better from here.
We took care of some of the divisions that probably aren't super sexy right off the top. We're gonna get better and better.
I think the AFC South's fine.
AFC South's interesting.
The NFC South is not sexy. There's nothing sexy about it.
So that being said,
like Dave Canales.
We went off some tangents today. We had some Harry Potter.
The NFC South is like the wreck.
Slytherin, all right, Slytherin for the cup.
But
no, I'm more like the AFC North.
No, you're the NFC South wreck.
No.
You're the NFC South of divisions. Just not no sex appeal.
You can't handle the truth.
You can't handle
I got the beard. That's still more sexy than what you have.
Which Harry Potter house has the nuke? I mean Gryffindor.
Probably Slytherin. Gryffindor
and Slytherin are like USA and Russia, right? Like they both have nukes. They're both.
Ravenclaw secretly might though. Ravenclaw, you got to watch them.
You really are you a Ravenclaw?
He's a Ravenclaw. Yeah.
Absolutely
he
not.
loves his.
I'm a Slytherin.
I was put into Gryffindor. Surprisingly, I thought I'd be a Slytherin as well, but somehow I did the sorting thing online, and I'm a Gryffindor, Chris.
Yeah, they put me in Slytherin, but
all right, guys, this is my last little announcement here. Hit that follow button. We're covering the NFL top to bottom between now and the NFL season starting, but then it doesn't even slow down there. We're ramping up once the NFL season starts with the best coverage of every weekly preview that you need to know, with every betting strategy you need to know. We're going to have our best bets. We're going to have all of our fantasy leagues. We're going to have all our pick'ems and survivor leagues for free that you can win prizes. We're going to have fantasy stuff all top to bottom when it comes to coverage on who you should start, who you should sit. Guys, make sure you hit that follow button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you join our Discord.